Hello, good afternoon. Coming up on the marketplace today, Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority defends new customs management system, claiming it is efficient. Also coming up, policy think tank Cuts Ghana proposes passage of draft competition and fair trade practices bill to check telecom market imbalance. And Ecobank Ghana calls for engagement with banks found to have breached Bank of Ghana's consumer protection regulations. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. Details of all those stories and others coming up in this half hour of Business News. Welcome back to the program. We begin from the Ports and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority says the newly deployed Integrated Customs Management System, ICUMS, is efficient. Though Customs does admit the system had off-take challenges, it says these were immediately addressed. It denies grappling with teething problems is being asserted by the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. The freight forwarders yesterday asked President Akufo-Addo to intervene in the chaotic situation at the ports. Listen.
The scope of the new normal should be treated with all seriousness because state and private operators within the chain must not benefit undeservedly from a situation which has arisen through no fault of the trader. Anything short of the above will mean the old benchmark will have to be attained by the close of the second week of June 2020, or the status quo before the change be reinstated pending any further form of readjustments. The government will have to carefully appraise this dire situation, and I repeat, dire, because it is dire, and advise itself on the choices to make going forward in this matter. We have had to contend with so many issues with this change. Cost is escalating, because all time-related fees, i.e. demurrage, terminal charges, state warehouse rent charges, ground handlers charges at the airport, truck demurrage at land frontiers. Now, all of these have not been held in check as we contend with massive delays and as a result of the change in processes. If this be the new normal, ladies and gentlemen, then the scope of the whole delivery will have to be redefined. Because not too long ago, in 2015, when the pre-arrival assessment reporting system was deployed, it reduced the delivery time of customs classification and valuation report to a publicized 48-hour timeline as per their service level agreement.
Well, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has been responding to the concerns of the freight forwarders, saying the challenges have been remedied. Here's a report from our Tema correspondent, Kwame Yanka. The new system was deployed at the Takoradi and Tema ports a few months ago. Customs, Ghana Link, among other names behind the newly integrated customs management system, ICUMS, have come under intense pressure from the port community. Responding to concerns of freight forwarders in Tema, however, Customs maintains its grounds that ICUMS is efficient. One critical area of concern is the bill of entry, which freight forwarders want addressed. Emmanuel Asante is commissioner in charge of Accra Collection and chairman of the implementation team of ICUMS.
ICUMS does that automatically and generates a new bill of tax. This is a more effective way of managing changes in exchange rate rather than the post-entry as was the case in the old system. The 1% inspection fee in the case of general goods and new vehicles and 1% examination fee in the case of used motor vehicles are administrative fees and not related to a service provider. So long as a bill of entry goes through classification and valuation process, the payment of this fee will be required. Also, the tax base for the calculation of ad valorem taxes in Ghana has not changed and is duly enforced in the ICUMS. The upfront relief of the payment of 1% IRS tax deposit is not permanent and subject to periodic review. All taxpayers who require an upfront relief of this tax from GRA after approval are updated into ICUMS as and when the approval is done.
Meanwhile, Customs admits challenges with the tax identification number from the onset, but that, it says, has been addressed subsequently. Emmanuel Ohene says system challenges have been remedied.
The TIN, which we all call it, is actually the tax identification number, has been working since day one of the deployment of ICOMS. However, we had some challenges on the first day of deployment, and they were resolved on the second day of June 2020. So it is not an issue where we will flatly deny that there were no challenges. Indeed, there were some system challenges with the TIN populating in the ICOMS, which was detected very early to resolve, and we resolved it. And since then, the ICOMS has been populated with the TIN.
It is the expectation of the GRA that by end of year, it will take 48 hours to clear cargo from date of discharge to date of release. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy Business. While away from the ports, Managing Director of Ecobank Ghana, Dan Saki, says the decision to sanction banks that were found culpable in the Bank of Ghana's recent report for regulatory breaches is a sole decision of the regulator. He says it will be proper for the banks to be engaged. Mr. Saki spoke to Joy Business after Ecobank donated to the Infectious Disease Center of the Ghana East Hospital. More in Freduho's report.
The managing director of Ecobank, Dan Saki, paid a visit to the Ghana East District Hospital, where the bank, in collaboration with Ecobank Foundation, donated an amount of 1.3 million Ghana cedis and PPEs amounting to 700,000 Ghana cedis towards the project. According to him, the amounts and the materials lay credence to the bank's objective to hold customers dear to their hearts.
Well, the donation is significant, but we are also not in ordinary times. When you are affected by a pandemic, as we are currently confronted with as a nation, it is important that all stakeholders rally behind the government and bring whatever support we can. So what we are doing today, one, falls within our vision of ensuring that we are operating within a community, and that community has to be one which takes well-being seriously, just as we do. So we are doing this, one, to ensure that our staff are safe, to ensure that clients are safe, ensure that the entire population is safe. And that is the only time that we as an institution would have an environment that is safe within which to operate.
Touching on the recent Bank of Ghana report, which found some banks culpable for illegal billing of clients, the MD added various banks in the country have equally reduced costs on digital services and should be engaged by the regulator.
I think it's a question of collaboration. It is important that we work with our clients, especially during this difficult period. And as you are aware, all banks have had to reduce charges on digital products to allow clients to transact during the period. That confirms that banks as an institution have the safety of their clients and the well-being of their clients at heart. And if we've gone to that extent of reducing charges, I'm not sure that banks will deliberately overcharge. So where there are a few errant ones, it calls for a conversation. And I think any customer who feels that he has been overcharged should approach his bank and have a discussion on it.
But now the Bank of Ghana has already intervened, and if they want to sanction those banks, will you agree?
That's a regulatory issue, and I think that falls within Bank of Ghana's ambit. So,
receiving the money and items on behalf of the private sector and Noguchi, Professor Abraham Annan indicated, despite the drop in resources from donors, they hope to complete the Infectious Disease Center by the end of June.
We are happy that we have partners like Ecobank and also the COVID-19, fund, which is coming on board so strongly to strengthen their partnerships. And this also will provide a very good platform for enhancing research in Ghana. And the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, our mandate, the way it stands, obviously, this facility linking up with our mandate is going to bring the whole nation another dimension forward.
Fred Duho reporting for Joy Business.
Now, as the country grapples with the increasing COVID-19 positive cases, insurance companies are being urged to redirect their operations towards providing electronic services to their policyholders. According to the Managing Director of Hollard Insurance Ghana, Daniel Addo, this has become necessary to provide customers with security in their business transactions. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the first virtual insurance chatbot which seeks to make insurance more accessible to Ghanaians via popular messaging channels such as WhatsApp. Bismarck Awusa reports.
The innovative product known as Hollard Chat Insure is currently hosted on WhatsApp by an artificial intelligence chatbot called Araba Hollard. This seeks to offer end-to-end insurance services all within the message application devoid of human intervention. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch, the managing director of Hollard Insurance Ghana, Daniel Ado, urged insurers to harness electronic means of providing services in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
You don't need to come to any insurance hall. You don't need to expose yourself. And that's what excites us, that we are providing our clients with some form of security. That stay at home if you don't have to come out and buy your insurance product. So this sits perfectly in the current dispensation where we are asking as much people as possible to stay at home. So I ask that any insurer who has any idea or any innovation on how we can easily distribute insurance products, I mean, it's free to do that. And any advice they want from us, they can always come. We've only taken the lead, but we are not stopping anybody from joining us. I mean, there's a large market, 30 million people.
Head of Retail Markets and Partnerships at Hollard, Yvonne Dewona, says the platform provides cover for home and home contents.
So she'll ask you if you're a homeowner or if you're a renter. So she wants to know this so that she knows what kind of insurance to give you. So you can insure your building, only your building through Araba. Okay. You can also insure what we call content through Araba. So maybe you don't own your building, maybe you're renting, but you own the things that are within the building and you want to insure that. So you will hear us say content, content, content. What that means simply is that you have your clothing, your shoes, your bed, your furniture, your refrigerator, etc. that you want to insure.
On her part, Group Head of Marketing and Corporate Affairs, Cynthia Ofori-Jumfo, says first 100 customers will enjoy 10% off their first premium.
Things in your house and you're saying to yourself, you know, can I really insure it? Should I insure it? Whilst you are doing that, whilst you are delaying, somebody is texting Araba and someone is getting that 10% off. So 10% off first premium for the first 100 customers, and I'm very certain that that 100 is going to go within the next maybe hour, maybe 2 hours.
So you definitely should be one of them.
Absolutely.
Bismarck Awusa, Joy Business.
You are at the marketplace. Now, the fashion industry has not been spared the chaos of COVID-19. Production cycles and retail operations have been put on pause for months. It's a tough time for fashion retailers as consumer demand has reduced. However, for Linda Akwesi-Kote, the pandemic is opening opportunities for her chain of fashion stores, the Nax Collections. She is our feature today on the Joy Business Van.
Hello, Joy Business Van. My name is Linda Akwesi-Kote, CEO of Nax Collections. You are welcome to our wholesale division. Please let me show you around. At Nax Collections, we stock ladies' clutches, bags, totes, side bags, and work bags. We also have ladies' slippers, flat slippers, heels, shoes, workwear, and then we deal in clothing too. In the clothing section, we have clothes which are imported from Dubai, from Turkey, and from the UK.
Linda Akwesi-Kote started off a career in something nowhere close to fashion, but she couldn't hide her passion anymore.
I used to be a journalist. Then after a while, I started selling from the boot of my car. I would usually sell for friends. I'll come and pick them in town from aunties, friends, and other people. And I'll resell it to friends, people, family, and all of that. So gradually it was growing.
From her savings, she opened a small store to start her fashion retail business. Soon, she would start traveling all over the world, not to pursue new stories, but bring in fashion items to sell. From just a small store, Linux Collections has grown fast, now with 4 outlets, 2 in Accra's Central Business District.
We've tried over the years to build an image for ourselves. For example, some few years ago, we introduced the plus size clothing. I mean, that's got a lot of customers because people like me were finding it difficult to get their size of dresses and the kind that the regular sizes will wear. So if you need a plus size at the time, everybody would tell you to go to Linux. So when they came, they'll bring their friends, we'll get referrals. So it made us multiply quickly in the business.
Consistency and customer satisfaction, Linda tells me, have been crucial in the success story of Linux Collections.
I think the
16 is better than the 14.
Yeah,
okay.
It's better than the 14.
Okay, so let me give the 16 back to them. Okay, so let's look at this one.
Okay, I also want the 16 of this. But
Linda does a lot of travel to bring in fashion items, but COVID-19 has showed up. Borders are shut in many countries and many are yet to reopen. This means limited stock of products and a reducing consumer purchasing power.
The whole world is affected. It's not just us. Even the manufacturers are affected. So it takes them a while to get back. Some have actually sent emails that they are back to work, they are back to this, but it takes them a longer time to produce than they used to do. Because, for example, in January, if I'm sending a design that, okay, can I have this stocked up again? It's taking about a week to do that. It's taking them like a month and a half to produce one design. It means that's a problem.
Rather than sit indifferent and allow COVID-19 to rip up the business, Linda says she's now turning to domestic production.
So we've put a team of young men and women together who are sewing locally for us to feed the market. They're in touch with the manufacturers, so they send us the current styles, then we give it to them to produce here. So it's not like we are just producing anything. But if even everything gets back to normal, we think that the ones we are producing here, the customers want it, the same quality, the same designs, the same finishing. So I'm not sure that we are going to, even when COVID is under control and we start traveling, we are not going to stop this aspect.
Linux Collections is transitioning from just being a retail business to wholesale distribution. Linda is excited about this new phase of her business because producing locally means reducing over-reliance on other markets and creating jobs during these difficult times.
Linux is solution-driven. What we seek to do is to provide solutions to what our customers are looking for. In the future, we intend to open shops in all the metropolis, the regional capitals, so that we get closer to the people. And also, we intend to do most of our flip-flops locally so that we can increase our range and the designs to serve our customers better. So we have a variety, more varieties than we used to bring. And also for the wholesale, we want to help or provide for the retailers as well. Because in this time especially, I'm sure they're going to struggle with how to get the things on the market. So we are producing, putting them also in mind.
As she forges ahead with her expansion and production drive, Linda remains focused in making Linux Collections the next big thing in Ghana's fashion industry. All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We want to quickly touch on one of our top stories this afternoon. A research and policy think tank, CAS Ghana, is proposing the passage of the Draft Competition and Fair Trade Practices Bill of 2019, which it says would better reform the telecom market. Now, CAS Ghana is warning the move by the National Communications Authority to enforce provisions of the Electronic Communications Act 2008 and the National Telecommunications Policy would rather hurt the industry. Director of CAS Ghana, Aboagye-Wiafe, has joined me in the studio to discuss this proposal. So I know that CAS is opposed to the NCA's enforcement of the Electronic Communications Act. Tell me why.
We are not necessarily opposed to the NCA orders, but what we are saying is that NCA should tread cautiously concerning the measures that it wants to take, because as a regulator, MTN did not become dominant to the 75% market share overnight. The threshold in the Electronic Communications Act is 40% or so. Between 40% and 75% is for 35%. So where the regulator during those periods that MTN was kind of increasing its share of the market. And we must also see that this is a liberalized sector, and MTN has invested a lot of resources to get to this place, whereas other players might have also not been able to match with this level of investment. And so if you want to take any action just to bring equity in the market, we must make sure that it does not become counterproductive, because we must ask ourselves, why didn't those other players did not invest? So when you do so, you are going to bring about inefficiency in the sector, and then they could also be riding on MTN's level of investment. And so we need to be very cautious so that we don't create a system that will kind of disincentivize MTN in its future investment, and also other sectors.
So while we tread cautiously, you're proposing the Competition and Fair Trade Practices Bill. And so I'm wondering, how does that differ from the Electronic Communications Act 2008?
So Electronic Communications Act seeks to regulate the electronic and communication sector. The Competition and Fair Trade Practices Bill regulates the whole market, telecom, healthcare, everything, even the media industry. The competition law seeks to create enabling a level playing field for all business to operate. So this is issue of more of economics than law, and it looks at efficiency, and also it checks about the issue of abuse of dominant position, monopolies, and cartels. Clearly, the NCA Act doesn't have enough provisions in its act to resolve these issues efficiently. In most countries in the world, including South Africa, Gambia, Kenya, and Zambia, these matters go to the competition regulator. In the US, they call it antitrust department of the Justice Department.
Yes.
And so we need to have competition law, because if you don't have competition law in our country, what it means is that the dominant players can be abusing the smaller ones. And I'm not saying that MTN is abusing anybody in the market, but we must also look beyond the telecom sector. But let me also say one thing, that look, the telecom sector has a downstream and upstream sector. And so what we want to say is that the regulator needs to do a complete market study of the whole sectors, both the up and the down, and look at where do we have market concentration, and where there's a market concentration, what are the reforms that needs to come. The reform should not hurt the one whoever has the major share, but you bring what you remove the entry barriers to allow new entrants to come in, so that you can come out, bring prices to marginal cost.
Yeah, and we just have a minute, I'm told. So what are the ramifications if the NCA goes ahead with that move to enforce its new legislation?
So it could discourage investment in the sector. If tomorrow Ghana was to have a 5G network, I'm very sure that MTN will be the one that could afford to rope in 5G. Because of what the government, the NCA is doing, MTN will say, look, we are going to stop investing in the market. And then the other firms are also not investing. So eventually, our internet speed will go to 1 kilobyte per hour, and then you cannot even download an email within 1 hour. So MTN must be guided by efficiency and openness, and also collaboration with the sector players, so that it can be a win-win for both consumers and also the market players.
All right. Thank you so much. Great you could pass to the studio. You have been watching The Marketplace. My name is Darryl Kwa. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.